So, the purpose of tonight is to review the presentation for the public informational meeting next Thursday night at 7:30. So, I know you guys, I sent a very draft version. So David had sent me an updated version today, this afternoon, which he has the copies of and he was bringing for us to have. So, when he gets here, we'll have these copies anyway. But most of the blanks were filled in on that. There's a couple of slides that are still outstanding to be done. So as we just go through it, just to have some discussion. So, my plan would be that to set the stage for the meeting as we open it up, that this committee was formed in September of 2015. There were prior committees related to this project, but our charge as a committee was not to look back at any of those. We weren't responsible for any of the spending of those committees, and that we will be looking at the charges of this committee, which are in the presentation, and reviewing the budget related to this committee and the schedule related to this committee. If folks are looking for information other than that, then they should go through a process of FOIing it from the town hall as an FOI request. But that wasn't the charge of our committee, to look back at any of that. And it's available at the town hall, so we'll move forward on that. There's a slide in here that discusses the current charge of our committee, and that we'll take questions and answers at the end of the presentation, and we'll set some boundaries around questions and answers as far as whatever we decide is a good 3 minutes per person. That's something we have to kind of decide we want to do. But so the one thing the other slide that wasn't in there was a budget related slide for this project and what we had spent to date. So Cindy pulled together for us an update on where we stand with expenditures for the project. So we'll create and turn this into a slide. So we haven't obviously said the way the original budget was broken out. There was the 1.5 for the demo abatement, construction at 10.5, and then the owner's cost, other expenditures of $3 million. So the only place to date we've spent anything is out of that other expenditures. So Silver Petroselli being the biggest part of that. And then recording secretary, the attorney's fees for reviewing all of the contract documents, the AIA contracts with Silver Petroselli and with Downs, posting in the paper. So those are our expenditures as committed to date. So we spent $331,000 of that $3 million to push this project forward so far. So, within the presentation, go ahead. Somebody have something?
Furniture?
Mm-hmm.
Is that going to be included in here sometime?
It's under, it's Silver Petroselli. The moving of it,
Oh,
they paid for it.
they paid for it, that's right. Okay, right.
Yep. So, alright, so the first slide was, the progress update for the building. And you know what, Paul, you want to slide down that way? Oh yeah, you have it for the. So, was just a progress update for the building, shows One Plains Road, shows the date of the public hearing. So that was slide one. Slide two, we listed out the committee members, alternate members who are the advisory members between Ron, Jim, Cindy, and Tracy. And then there's the recording secretary. Slide three was the professional services staff. So who's working on the project from Silver Petroselli, from Downs Construction, Fuss and O'Neill, and then BSC group. We're Walter and his.
And Dave put these together?
What's that?
David put these together?
So David put some together, I put
Okay.
some together.
He just needed to fix Trust and O'Neill there.
Yeah,
That's all.
yeah, if you would, just keep notes, thank you. The next slide was the charge of the committee. Not that, you know, it's very small type, but to try and kind of fit that block onto a slide. Not that we would expect anybody to read it, but I think I'll go through the bullet points of this at the meeting to say, here's what the committee was charged with, and this is what we're working off of. What the charge of the committee was. So, you know, we were charged with demolition of 18,300 square feet of the Ray part of the building, renovating, repairing, and fitting out, and converting the Hale portion of the building to include gymnasium space for park and rec, and creating a polling location. The installation of a new vault for the town clerk's office, code compliance work, handicap accessibility work, hazardous material and asbestos abatement, the renovation of the interior spaces and the facade, you know, restoration of the masonry, installation of new doors and windows and roofing, construction of floors, walls, and rooms, and then all the electrical, mechanical, plumbing updates. And then, or that was around the building. Then it was the construction of a garage out back for housing municipal vehicles and police vehicles, the purchase of fixtures, furniture, equipment, IT infrastructure, site improvements for the parking lot, lighting, grading, pavement resurfacing, sealing, and repairing of existing tennis courts, preparation and printing of the documents, costs related to traffic and other studies, environmental reports, and all the things that go over permitting, fees, engineering, construction, architectural, all of that. So that was what our committee was charged with for this one. The plan was that the next slide would be an existing site plan to show what it looks like today. So at this point, I see turning the meeting over to Silver Textile and let them taking it from here and just saying, hey, let them go through this. The proposed site plan, which would lay out what we're showing for entrances and exits, new parking lots, the location of the garage, what the site looks like with the demolition of the Ray Park. The next one talks about it's just a program layout of the main level of the facility. The next slide was just a basement level, just showing that we're demoing it out, but there's no real construction going on down there. He's still working on an elevation slide to show some elevations of the site and the building.
The rendering?
The renderings, yep, so they're not done. There's a rendering of the outbuilding and the elevations for the outbuilding. And then at this point, I see it getting turned over to Paul to talk about the budget. So, you know, the detail you go to in this, when we talk about budget, I don't see it covering every line, just, you know, hitting the high points. And I think you guys are really, the reality of it is you're the fourth group who has looked at this budget. You know, between what we did originally and budgeted and then what we had O&G look at, Gibson Group look at, now you're the fourth ones to kind of look at to say these numbers, we feel they're realistic and we can work within that 15 million. I think that's important to hear from you guys as the construction experts and the folks that will be building this. The construction schedule is the next one for you to talk through. And again, this is where I think we have to be really kind of clear on is that we don't necessarily control this schedule. It's controlled by USDA at this point. You know, we handed documents off to them 3 weeks ago, which they told us we'd have back the first week of January, and they're telling them today that it's probably 2 more weeks. 2 more weeks for them to review. So unfortunately for us, we don't control this timeline when it comes to how quickly USDA turns around.
The date that I had given to, passed on to you, the date, showed bidding as of January 16th, which is a week and a half away. So I think when that's what these are dates going to be in, and this specific caveat is that everything needs USDA approval to go out to bid. Once the bids are received, USDA has to approve, just as well as the building committee has to approve it. At that point, USDA has to approve it. So, but in the overall concept, we're anticipating starting construction mid-February for phase 1. Phase 2 should start somewhere around mid to late March, and we're anticipating being done between Thanksgiving and Christmas. Kind of, at that point, leave it like that.
It's tight.
It is. It's tight. So the other thing that, as I thought through this in the presentation, is I almost thought in the beginning we need to create a slide that kind of goes through what we've done to date. Kind of like in the letter that's going to go in the paper, which didn't hit this week's paper, it's going to hit next week because of the short vacation. Yeah, it's not. So they're actually going to do it as a front page article next week on the paper, so we know it's the same night as the meeting, but it'll call it out. So, but Cindy's, I mean, it was posted, the public hearing notice was posted.
It's all been published.
Yeah,
Yes.
so,
Everyone else is doing this.
yeah. But I'm thinking, it is, yeah. But I'm thinking we should have a slide that kind of goes through that little blurb of how Silver Petrocelli got selected based on their previous work, the process we went through to select downs, the RFP, RFQ, you know, the fact we are working with USDA for funding, you know, that this was passed a referendum. Just kind of an overview slide we'll create.
Do we want to say a few words somewhere about the benefits of working with USDA? Because we're telling people that
Yeah.
they may be holding up the project, so question maybe.
Yeah, so it can be as simple as USDA provides us a locked-in rate.
Absolutely.
We're locked in at 3.65%, and it can't go higher, it can only go lower.
Right.
The question would be raised,
Yep.
though, so I think it's,
Oh, it'll be great.
yeah, that's a great point.
So we know we need to create a budget slide, we talked about, you know, there's been a lot of discussion, I guess, on Facebook, and I have not had time to read my email, forget about going on Facebook, but you know, this was the flyer that got sent to every household last year around the improvements of the capital projects, and Cindy printed this off as a good reminder. You know, I think this kind of leads the conversation around, there's been a lot of stuff on Facebook around what's going to do to our taxes, from what I'm told. So this really leads the conversation around how, you know, the mill rate's affected by it. And I don't think the committee on it should have that discuss, you know, that's not the charge of the committee, it really should be the selectmen, or Cindy, or whoever, you know, answering those questions at the public hearing. Cindy, any thoughts?
Agreed. You can see which one I would like to direct it. So holding for the plan is discussed in the plan.
You know, and I still, you hear people coming up to me, you know, talking about on Facebook, people are saying how this project is so far behind and so slow, and I don't get where that comes from.
And they're also on the other end where it's been worked on for 2 years inside.
Yeah, right, right. So, you know, I mean, this,
Well, I think, realistically, I think the comment probably comes from the fact that, let's face it, the project has been around for 8 years. So
It has.
I would imagine that's what's driving the slowness. I'm not sure it's directed to this committee and I working on it 6 months. Certainly, the project's been on the board for 8 years and it's really slow.
And we did have it pretty close at one time.
in 2010, we had it very close, and that's when the decision was made to create a capital plan, a 10-year capital plan. So, but, you know, and I think that's part of that initial opening remarks where we talked about that the committee was, you know, this was one committee, this committee's been formed, there were several committees before, but this committee started working very quickly and has met ever since we were formed, and twice a month or more, and, you know, we're on a time schedule to be completed with this project in 2.5 years or less, which I think is pretty good, so.
Yeah, I think that's just a misunderstanding. I think this, it's good to have this, because another comment I hear is, like you said, hey, I've never heard of this project, which don't know anything about it, just went to every household, a year ago.
Yeah.
When you think about it, in all reality too, the project, if you want to think about it differently, has only been in existence since June 4th, or whenever that vote was after, wasn't it?
Right, June, whatever, when we approved the money.
Yeah.
So it's,
Right.
There was other fashions of it, other models of it, but it was never approved.
Right, there's never been funding approved for this project to move it forward until June 16th of 2015. So there's as many committees as you want, and advisory groups and everything else, but, so. Any other thoughts? Ed, Chuck?
I like the idea what you said of what's already been accomplished, that was one of the things I wrote down last week. Where, so we have been doing whatever we can do, meeting the guidelines of the USDA. Because I think it's also important that people know that we can't go much further what we're doing, because we're going to jeopardize the funding from USDA.
Cindy, Jim, Ron? Gene? Be quiet. It's never a good thing when Jim's quiet.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, when they come to the comment that it says this is taking forever, say it's nothing different. We started a building committee in '77 for the high school, and it didn't happen until '93. We started a gym committee in 1940, and it didn't happen until 1954. And I could probably go on and on and on, so, yeah, give me some duct tape.
That's what I like out of you. Okay. Paul, anything to add? Any thoughts?
No, I see the time
I
frame.
was hoping David was, but he's never going to use it for another project. But I'd like for you guys to take the copy now. I can email it, but it's big. So you gotta have a Dropbox to open it, which is a pain in the neck. But we're gonna have to, we'll make these changes, and after when David gets here, I'll just kind of approve the changes when we're done. And just have them make the changes and resend out.
Can you ask him to send out the renderings of prior meetings so we have a chance to look at them?
And don't forget, we meet at 6 next week, so we'll have on the agenda to review this first.
Right, but it'd be good to look at, just be able to comment.
Yep, absolutely.
The presentation's here too. Right?
Yep, yep.
And what I did with the budget, because, 13 million, there was some, as a 1477, that's only through DD and all that. And I say we had one more budget process to go through, make construction documents. But, and again, we're well within 13 million, I just added some to soft cost.
Yeah.
Get it to the 14 million.
Mhm.
Versus that, somebody got locked in on a 14.7 number.
No, right, and the soft costs are a true number, yeah. I mean, we know, there are things within that that, we've always said that the soft costs will be the place that we pull from if we have to. So.
And 225 or something like that.
And I think that's a point you have to make, Paul, is that these budget numbers are based on schematic design and.
I'll mention we go through,
Yeah.
we've gone through schematic, we've gone through design development, we have one more step to go
Right.
through construction documents, which in reality is gonna be the next day.
Right,
And, we'll well within the budget.
Yeah, so these are designed, we're still, right, I think that's.
Also, the fact that we do have a contingency.
Well, yeah, if the question is asked, because otherwise I'd rather not address that. There's actually three contingencies. There's three contingencies, and that can be complicated. You got, right now, a design estimating contingency, a CM contingency, you've got the owner contingency.
Yep.
If you start explaining what each one is there for, and what each one gets used, then it can get into a long, drawn out.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking, just to assure people that, you know, we have room to adjust the budgets through the contingency. You know, we're carrying contingency now that allows for moving it back.
So we are missing one other slide that I just realized as I went through this and. Jared put together a slide that he sent over to David, and it's not in this, so, talking about what they've done as far as abatement. Yeah, so David was gonna bring as part of his presentation, just those boards we talked about him bringing with the different, like, carpet samples and, just I have, that's yours, touchy feely stuff.
So Paul, here, under earthwork, that's all site work.
Yes.
So he was, let's see, where's David here? Which one? So Boston O'Neill, slide, he just, talks about environmental issues. Boston O'Neill, was contracted to perform inspections of the 5 different vintages of the existing building. And they were contracted to identify, test, and quantify the hazardous building materials, located in the buildings. And the scope of the inspections included, so they talked about asbestos-containing material, lead-based material, PCBs, containing materials, PCB-containing lead ballast and mercury-containing equipment, and the laboratory chemical grain testing and storage were all tested by them. Following the work, they reviewed the final plans, and they've created a project specification drawing to facilitate the removal of the hazardous materials. So, and also the 3 underground storage tanks. So he's just kind of giving that brief, quick overview of what they've done and what the plan is going forward. Any questions, any thoughts? Tiff, sorry, you missed. Thank you for making the copies. I know there were a couple of little typo things in there, like colon and the community charge thing that had to come out. This slide, is that, how did you guys create that? Is it an Excel document, how did you get it imported in there? Oh, we're gonna work to make it less blurry.
That's not, you must have tried to blow it up.
Yeah, so if we have to blow up some, like, font or something when we put it in,
Okay, you know what, let me, when he gets out, just tell him I'll work on it tomorrow and send it back, send it over to him again. Because basically, he's just taking what I sent. Yeah, he's just, I know why it's blurry, because he's taking this and.
Yeah, and
just
expanding it.
do it and put it above his head,
Yeah.
his foot.
Yeah. he's taking a picture and just expanding it out.
I'll make it so fit on a piece of paper above his foot, so you can take it.
So, and I think on this, we have to somewhere put estimated dates. You know, I
Yeah,
don't,
I had one of the, I included one of the line of it. I had an asterisk at the bottom, said all items require USDA approval.
yeah, we have to put something on it because this will be out in the public and all of a sudden somebody will be banging on the door saying, it's, the 3rd of the, March and nothing's happening, why? So,
What do the USDA dates mean on this?
so that was when they're given the so after bidding closes, they have to approve all of the bids back. So these guys will go through, vet the bids, pick the low bidder out, but USDA has to go through and vet them all, check them, make sure.
Look more explanation after that.
Or do we just have a call talk to it?
Yeah, it's easy,
Well, essentially, what are they looking for? Modified?
no, I think they're, because one thing we do on our job, each one of these contractors we bonded. So they're looking
Right.
for, I think, total dollar value. They're looking to make sure we're staying within the budget and that we haven't used, we are using the lowest responsible bidder. Remember, the lowest bidder is not always the best.
So if we're not choosing the lowest bidder, we have to qualify the reasons why, is what they're looking at.
And because the way I understand too, the bids will be open here,
Yep. Town hall.
down hall, USDA will be present. And, I mean, one of the problems you run into is when you open, and let's say somebody bids a site, the site's $1.5 million, somebody bids at $1.2 million, and that's $1.6 million, $1.650 million, $1.7 million, all of a sudden the guy who's $1.2 million is gonna come, you gotta scope them out. And there's sometimes those numbers are still good, but if he wants to, says, oh, I made a mistake, I'll do it for $1.5 million, you just can't literally have the money to it. So then we gotta provide them the means and methods as to where we get to. Same thing, it requires the building committee's approval, it requires their. No
Yeah, you
offense,
get
but
those
they
steel
won't,
woven like
no
that.
offense, but they
Everybody else
won't.
up here, and you wonder what he left out, what he
No
missed.
offense to building, we won't, without their approval, we don't go anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But we can go somewhere, but nobody's paying for it.
Yeah, that's the problem.
How hard is it to disqualify on their USDA?
If you ask that question, don't add the USDA part on it. It's not that difficult. You review somebody, you get skeptical about it, you go back and forth, and you ask them all the questions, they have all the answers. As long as you provide a bond, it's difficult to provide a bond. And
Difficult to what?
kick them out,
Well, I guess that's what I'm getting at.
throw them out. But every bidding document will have a disclaimer in there that if for any reason the town or the construction manager has a problem, the bidder, that either or has a right to disqualify.
But.
We're gonna have to prove to USDA why we
Right,
disqualified.
the USDA club our needs to be on there.
We
because
In the public bidding process, it's very difficult. But if you get someone who's low like that, you can give them the opportunity to walk away.
Well, that's my point exactly, and I just think the committee needs to be aware, if you're not already, that, yeah, we may not want, that does not mean that we can disqualify. For what it's worth.
No, and I think we have to be able to sell, even with Downs, there were parts of Downs' contract that they weren't the lowest on, right? When you looked at the whole picture, but based on our vetting process, and when I was able to put together to USDA and show them our rubric, and show them how our interview processes went, show them how we scored everybody, show them all of that, they didn't even bat an eye. They
That's
were
true.
like,
So we kind of
awesome,
did
yeah.
it right.
So I think as long as we can show that justification behind it and how we selected the vendors or the subs to do the work, we'll be fine.
Okay, good.
So. Anybody have any other comments? So we'll meet on the 12th at 6 o'clock. I will get everybody out a revised version of this. We'll get the budget into it. We'll get the Fuss and O'Neill slide into it. I'll take what was going to go into that letter and pull out. He is, but I mean, we can hang out and adjourn for a little while. But I don't think the revised are any different than this. This is what he had as of today.
You said it was 40 minutes.
Should be good.
Should be right about
He
now.
said he was 40 to 45 minutes out when I talked to him at 3 after 6. So he was probably shooting to get here at 10:00.
It's 10 minutes.
So,
That's not bad.
okay. You want to recess for
Recess for,
a couple minutes
sure.
till he gets here and see if what his comments we can review with him?
Might as well right here.
Lovely.